And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And man, oh man, have we got a terrific show for you. You don't want to miss any part of it. Let me tell you a little bit about it. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news. New legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do every Monday through Friday. And on today's show, our special segment is going to be with Sean LaFave, and Sean and I are going to be talking about current events and healthcare, and God only knows what else we'll be talking about. He has no limits to what he can actually address and talk about, and I love that because I feel the same way about myself. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. But before that, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 81 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. I mean, it is sunny. It is beautiful out there. Well, let's talk about the 10 things that you need to know for Tuesday. Your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that are going to be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And right off the top, Putin orders a withdrawal of most Russian forces from Syria. He says he hopes the move will contribute to the success of peace talks aimed at ending the Syrian civil war. And how history might be repeating itself, actually. The recent dark turn of the presidential campaign fuels fear that the United States is careering into a time of turmoil similar to the 1960s. And Maryland policeman killed by friendly fire. The undercover officer was killed by his own colleagues as he responded to an attack on his police station by a gunman with a death wish, the police chief says. And Islamic State fighter surrenders in Iraq. The 26-year-old identifies himself as a Palestinian from the United States, and American authorities are trying to confirm that he is a U.S. citizen. Then, why Amtrak trains derailed in a rural Kansas area. Investigators are checking whether a vehicle crash may have damaged the tracks before the incident. And how about this? Rain is a boon for drought-stricken California. 4 straight days of wet weather replenished several key reservoirs, raising optimism that restrictions on water use may be eased in the months ahead. Well, we'll see what happens there. And I can tell you what deadliest... You know what? Let me go back to that a minute. You know what? The thing with the California drought, everybody chipped in. Everybody reduced their water usage except for one community. Guess where it was? Yep, Beverly Hills, California. Yep, they didn't even try to cut back. Now, how about what deadly assault on the Ivory Coast resort signals? The attack on the beach resort of an Al-Qaeda affiliate is the latest sign that it is shifting its focus to soft targets associated with foreigners, and an unmanned probe winging its way to Mars. The European Space Agency begun its mission to explore the red planet and hunt for signs of life. And Palin's husband is injured in a snowmobile crash. Todd Palin remains hospitalized after the accident in Alaska, but is expected to recover. And then finally, NFL exec acknowledges a head trauma link. It's the first time a league official has admitted a link between football and the brain disease CTE. You know what? What the heck are they waiting for? They just dumb or what? I don't know. How about this? Forget the favorite candidates. Some people are voting strategically. Kennedy Copeland is a Marco Rubio fan who voted for John Kasich in Ohio. Ann Croft is all in for Hillary Clinton, but cast her ballot for Rubio in Virginia. Julia Price will back the Democratic nominee in November, but voted for Kasich in Tennessee. Are these voters confused? No. They're voting strategically in the year of Donald Trump in hopes of altering the outcome of the presidential race by casting ballots for someone other than their favorite candidate. Democrat Croft, for example, figured Clinton didn't need her help to win Virginia, so she decided to vote instead against Trump in the Republican primary because some of her GOP friends were worried he would win the state. I was feeling almost sort of dirty about doing it, she recalled. But then Croft talked to a friend who had done exactly the same thing, which made her feel a little bit better. In other cases, Democrats are crossing over to do just the opposite, voting for Trump on the thinking he'd be the weakest candidate to face the eventual Democratic nominee. The notion of strategic voting, in a way, playing amateur political scientist, is now front and center in Ohio and Florida, which awarded winner-take-all delegates in the Republican races as part of today's 5-state round of voting. Wow, it's going to be interesting. The polls close in a couple of hours, so we'll see what actually happens there. There's no real telling what is going to happen, but I can tell you that on today, Trump looks to topple 2 more GOP rivals. Donald Trump aimed to crush the White House hopes of 2 Republican rivals in today's primary elections in Florida and Ohio, the biggest prizes on a delegate-rich day of voting that could clarify the nomination fights in both parties. Hillary Clinton hoped to pad her delegate lead in the Democratic race, anxious to block Trump's path were Ohio Governor John Kasich and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, each in need of a home state win to stay in the GOP race. Kasich was locked in a close contest with Trump in Ohio, while Rubio appeared to be fading in recent Florida preference polls. Kasich has largely avoided criticizing his rivals during the tumultuous primary season, but he said he would have plenty to say about Trump after today's elections. He said he felt a need to point out things that have been deeply disturbing. Well, we'll see. Illinois, Missouri, and North Carolina are also voting. It's only going to be a couple of hours and we're going to start hearing some things, and it is about time. Isn't it about time that the establishments, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans, got out of the way and let the process make the choice? The process being you and me and the voters of our state. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Now, how about this? The latest. Most GOP voters support a temporary Muslim ban. Came in 49 minutes ago. The latest on the 2016 presidential campaign, with primaries in 5 states today, and Republican frontrunner Donald Trump trying to move closer to nailing down his party's nomination. About 2/3 of Republican primary voters in all 5 states voting today support temporary banning non-citizen Muslims from entering the United States, but majorities in all 5 say they want immigrants already in the United States illegally to be allowed a chance to stay. That's according to an early result of exit polls conducted for the Associated Press and television networks for Edison Research. Only about 4 in 10 Republican voters in each state want all immigrants in the country illegally to be deported. The proposition of GOP primary voters saying they want a ban on non-citizen Muslims entering the United States is as high as 3/4 in Missouri. Well, we'll see what happens. Now, coming up next, right after this brief messages, we're going to talk about Obama is dismayed by vulgarity, violence of the campaigns. We'll talk all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And right, as I told you before, Obama's dismayed by vulgarity and the violence of the campaigns. President Barack Obama said today he was dismayed by vulgar and divisive rhetoric directed at women and minorities, as well as the violence that has occurred in the 2016 presidential campaign, a swipe at Republican frontrunner Donald Trump that also served as a challenge to other political leaders to speak out and set a better example. The longer that we allow the political rhetoric of late to continue and the longer that we tacitly accept it, we create a permission structure that allows the animosity in one corner of our politics to infect our broader society, Obama said, and animosity breeds animosity. Without mentioning the GOP candidate by name, Obama used a unity luncheon at the Capitol to express his concern with the nation's political discourse and the protests that have escalated to attacks at the Trump rallies. The candidate has spoken of barring Muslims from entering the country and deporting immigrants living here illegally. Obama pleaded for civility and said political leaders can either condone this race to the bottom or reject it. We have heard vulgar and divisive rhetoric aimed at women and minorities and Americans that don't look like us or pray like us or vote like we do. Obama said that the annual Friends of Ireland luncheon. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't see, you know what? I just don't see it changing. Trump is not going to change what seems to be working for him, and he's not going to do what anybody else wants him to do simply for that reason. How about this? Obama abolishes the last major restrictions on U.S. travel to Cuba. President Barack Obama sent an unmistakable message to Americans today ahead of his historic trip to Havana. Cuba is open for business. Punching fresh holes in the generations-old U.S. embargo, Obama's administration removed the last meaningful restrictions on travel, putting a Cuba vacation within reach for millions of Americans over the coming years. The sweeping changes also clear a path for Cuban athletes to one day play Major League Baseball and other professional sports. Although tourism is still technically off limits, the ban becomes essentially unenforceable, with Americans permitted to travel on their own with no prior permission. White House officials said there would be no shortage of opportunities for Americans to fill the loosely defined requirement that they engage with locals in a bid to further U.S.-Cuban understanding. The travel ban is on life support here because for all intents and purposes, anybody can go. Senator Jeff Flake, in Arizona, Republican, who supports Obama's approach, said in an interview, all these barriers are coming down. Well, you know what? It hasn't worked for 50 years. What makes him think it's going to work any longer? It's time that came down. Maybe it'll help relations too. You know, who knows? How about this? Belgian police kill one man in a raid linked to the Paris attacks. Belgian and French police investigating a suspected link with the November attacks in Paris stormed a Brussels house today after being fired upon and killed a suspect armed with a Kalashnikov assault rifle, authorities said. 3 Belgian and 1 French police officer were slightly wounded in the operation. We had a lot of luck, Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel said. It could have been a real drama. The police officer was wounded on his ear right under his helmet, and another was injured when his service weapon was struck by a bullet. The major anti-terror operation, which lasted more than 3 hours, paralyzed an entire neighborhood of the Belgian capital with schools and a daycare center placed on lockdown, and auto workers at a nearby Audi plant instructed not to leave there by management. Wow. You know what? In the peacefulness of the world just seems to keep moving right along, right? Yeah, what peacefulness? Yeah, I agree with you. I had no doggone idea. Well, here's the latest. Syrian opposition raises detainees at talks. The latest developments on ongoing Syria peace talks and the pullout of Russian forces from the country. The UN envoy to Syria says opposition officials have raised the issue of detainees in government jails at indirect peace talks being held in Geneva. Stefan de Mistura told reporters today after meeting the opposition delegation that progress has been made on humanitarian aid and the reduction of violence, but not on the issue of detainees. The release of detainees was a key opposition demand ahead of the indirect peace talks. Senior opposition official George Sabra says tens of thousands of detainees are being held by the Syrian government. He says government prisons are not places to hold prisoners, but to kill them. Wow. Can you imagine? It's not a place to hold them. It's a place to kill them. And he just says that without blinking an eye. Well, holidaymakers were slow to comprehend the Ivory Coast attack. It began like any other Sunday in his beach town. Kingor Nanan was preparing the Jalive reggae bar and restaurant for the day. A few customers had arrived, and he was sitting out front. Then, before 1 p.m., he heard popping sounds like firecrackers. A man wielding an assault rifle walked through the sandy alley that runs past the club to the beach. Everyone was screaming. So many people were outside, and the man, he shot this young man down. Then he took his gun, aimed it at me, looked me in the eye. Nanan said he didn't shoot. The attacker, described by Nanan as an Ivorian with cropped hair and ordinary clothes who spoke French, lowered his gun, turned and headed toward the sound of gunfire on the beach. Wow. Can you imagine? Well, don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the IRS loses. The first case here is the tax court reverses itself on filed when mailed rule for motions. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. Let's get right to it. In the first case, tax court reverses itself on filed when mailed rule for motions. Let me tell you about it. A taxpayer's petition to go to tax court was rejected by the court for a technical reason. Within the 90 days allowed to appeal, the taxpayer mailed in a motion seeking reconsideration, but it was delivered to the court after the deadline. Now, here's the conflict. In an earlier case, the tax court held that the tax code's filed when mailed rule that applies to IRS rulings did not apply to such court motions. Now, a court of appeals reversed that, but that bound the tax court only in that one appeal circuit. So here's the new ruling. The tax court will now accept the filed when mailed rule for such motions nationwide. In the taxpayer's case, is accepted. Well, here's another one for you. The IRS lost. Mixed motives behind a trust save it from the IRS. Well, you know, that's the irrespective revenue service. Jacob Eversoft received a $700,000 tax bill from the IRS that he contested. At about the same time, he created a trust for his children to which he transferred his home and $200,000. The IRS said the trust was set up just to avoid the tax claim and so was invalid against it. Eversoft, who was age 68, said the trust was an estate planning device to keep his assets from his estranged wife and to be sure that they went to his children. This is what the judge said. Both motives doubtless existed, but at the time, the estate planning motive predominated, as shown by the fact that Eversoft left more than $700,000 outside the trust. So its assets are beyond the IRS's reach. Yeah, don't you just love it? The IRS tries to flex their muscles. I love it when they get taken down a little bit. Well, here's a case the IRS conceded, and you know that I say it all the time. The only reason the IRS would ever concede a case is because they're pretty doggone sure they could never prevail in tax court. Here's this case. Ignorance of rehabilitation tax credit excuses the late application for it. Here's the case. A property owner rehabilitated a certified historic structure in a manner that qualified for the rehabilitation tax credit of up to 20% of rehabilitation costs, but failed to apply for the credit until after the deadline for doing so. Why? The owner hadn't known the credit even existed and applied for it only after learning about it. Here's the IRS ruling. An extension of the deadline can be granted if the taxpayer acted reasonably and in good faith. That was the case here, so a late application for the credit is absolutely allowed. That's the way you would expect it to be, sure. Now, you heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It's very much like the Twilight Zone. Oh, yeah. So here we are in the Twilight Zone, or what I like to refer to as the Twilight Zone. And let's get right to it. You know what? To understand how the IRS interprets tax law, the IRS begins the interpretation process by issuing regulations that are either proposed, temporary, and final. Now, additional guidance is provided by revenue rulings, private letter rulings, field service advice, notices, actions on decisions, technical advice memoranda, and audit guidelines. Now, for details on each of these, visit the IRS website at www.irs.gov. Now, ultimately, the validity of the IRS's, let me get that there. Okay, the validity of the IRS's view of the law is tested in court cases. Sometimes the IRS is found to be right and it wins. Other times, its interpretation is found to be inconsistent with the intent of the Congress, which drafted the law to start with. Now, what course to follow? Read professional publications and law review articles. An internet search is going to help you find these, by the way. Now, that'll help you decide how to proceed in regard to specific tax issues, or retain a knowledgeable tax professional, and that's the advice that I would give you. Now, how about this? Mortgage defaults in the IRS. Cancellation of debt, we call it COD, is going to be a real concern for many taxpayers who've defaulted on their home mortgages. The bank holding the mortgage is required to file with the IRS a Form 1099-C. That's the cancellation of debt, reflecting the amount of cancellation of debt required to be reported on your tax return as income. Now, here's a tax trap. That cancellation of debt income amount may include unpaid principal, accrued interest, penalties, and attorney fees. Now, here's a loophole for you. If you are insolvent under state law, that means your liabilities exceed your assets. When you default, the amount of cancellation of debt is not considered income. So that is what you want to be thinking about when you're doing these things. Now, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be talking to our own Sean LaFave. And, God only knows what we're going to talk about. But you know what? It'll have something to do with health care and current events and anything else that comes to mind. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean Lefebvre, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
Okay, now before we get to Sean, I want you to know that at 3:32 p.m. Pacific Time, it's currently 75 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it got up to 80 degrees here earlier. It's on its way down to 54 degrees, but it is just drop dead gorgeous outside. And if you're listening to us on our global network, syndicated network, that's the way I'm supposed to say it, and you're in Lisbon, Portugal, it's 52 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Hong Kong, it's 64 degrees. And it's drizzling. It's kind of wants to rain over there. But I'll tell you where it's not going to rain on my parade. It's not going to rain right now with my good buddy, Sean Lefebvre. Hey, Sean, what's it look like in Newport Beach?
You know, it is, I'm actually sitting outside on the deck right now, and I'm looking up in the skies. It's 70 degrees and pretty much nothing but blue skies. A couple little wisps of some clouds that are trying to form, but nothing much.
You got a Mai Tai in your hand?
I know, boy, that would make it pretty much perfect, but no Mai Tais today, not yet, anyway.
Oh, I can tell you, as soon as I get my show closed for the day and I get everything posted, I am going to fix myself a brandy, go outside, sit on the lounge, and I think that's all I'll do. I'll just drink the brandy and relax.
I think that sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yeah. So how was your week?
Well, I can tell you this too. It's not only is it 70 and 70 degrees here, but it's also sunny and 70 degrees in Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is right near Dayton.
Well, hallelujah.
How's that for cool? Almost exactly the same weather in two completely different places in the country.
Except that makes it perfect for voting today, doesn't it?
Yes. Oh my God, it does. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, a few days ago we had, everyone kept saying El Nino was coming, and El Nino came, and El Nino threw a little bit of a temper tantrum. And I tell you what, those waters, were choppy over, the earlier part of the weekend, and, kind of Friday, Saturday time. We had some rain, and it was windy, and the water didn't look like I would even want to be out there on a big boat, let alone a small one.
Well, I gotta tell you, I think it was Friday. I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday. I actually made the comment that I thought the animals were getting ready to line up 2 by 2 outside. I mean, it was really coming down. And I'm not sure I understand this El Nino the way I should. I thought that we were going to have a lot more dramatic rains. We're getting some rain, but it's nothing, it's nothing unsurmountable around here. I thought we were supposed to have a tremendous winter, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the weather forecasters they're all drama queens anymore. They are really. They make it sound like everything like it's monsoon season in Southern California, and we're going to get a foot of rain every day, and on, and we just get a few days here and there where we get a nice heavy rain. It's good rain, but yeah, they make it sound like we're all going to be floating on the river, but. Not so much. Yeah,
I did hear though that a lot of our water reservoirs are they're in the 70 to 75% rate, and
that's awesome.
That is really awesome. The thing that's interesting though is even though the reservoirs are that high, we have to the percolation still has to take place to get those reservoirs to have that water sink down into the aquifers and then come back and then fill up the reservoirs even more so that we really have a good reserve of water. And I don't think that that's happening yet.
I don't know. I don't know where that's at. I don't know. It's like
I just blew you away with that knowledge, didn't I?
You did. I'm like, what? I thought you were. I thought you were speaking like that African clicking language or something.
Oh, you know what?
I didn't understand a single word you just said.
You know what? It's interesting. When I was still in private practice in my firm, and you start talking to people, and you'd forget that they were lay people because as an accountant, I don't care if you're an accountant or an attorney or a physician or what you are, you develop your own language almost, and you forget that other people don't understand some of the terms that you're using, and you find yourself eventually saying it in the way you would normally say it and then immediately explaining it so they could understand it,
Right. Yeah. You get in that rhythm. You start talking to your clients like you would talk to your colleagues, and they look at you like, "Can you put that in English terms?" Like, "Oh, sorry, yeah."
Oh, yeah. My guess is that when you get with your peers, you guys are actually speaking. Let's just say you're sitting at a dinner table. There's maybe 4 or 5 of you guys, or whatever it might be, even one, and you start talking shop. That the people around you are thinking, "What the heck are they talking about?"
Yeah, it's nice to be around other care providers, and I can say words like neurotoxicity and not have to explain what that is. And I got this friend of mine, and we go out, and it's so funny especially if she starts drinking, she loves to explain everything to everybody, no matter what it is.
Are we talking about?
No, definitely no. First of all, Sally doesn't drink that much, but no, this is a different friend. Well, whenever someone asks me, "What do you do?" she loves telling people what I do for a living because she loves it. She thinks it's exciting stuff, but she still, to this day, still can't say the word neurotoxicity. She'll start to say it, and I don't even know what she says, but I'll just have to say the word for it and let her finish explaining what I do for a living. It's pretty funny.
But I do have to tell you, the marriage of those two words are threatening.
Well, it is threatening. It's not. It's about as bad as it can get. When it comes to things getting in your body. Yeah.
That's Yeah, that's just the sound of that is kind of scary.
And I guess we should probably explain that for those listening who go, what does that mean? Of course, neuro meaning associated with the neurological system, and toxicity meaning, of course, toxins. And so when I tell people I'm a neurotoxicity specialist, I think most people, if they stopped for like 5 seconds and thought about it, they could figure out what it is that I do. But most people go, what's happening? And I go, well, I help people to detox at the cell level for toxins that affect the neurological system.
So let me ask you, when you're actually seeing people and you're having a conversation, do you catch yourself having to stop and realize that you're using a vocabulary that you can't expect them to understand?
Every now and then, but for the most part, that's one of the things that I think is one of my strengths in what I do, is I can take stuff and, that I would go to a seminar and listen to a physician speak or a researcher or a scientist speak about something, and I can break it down into more layman common terms and that people can understand it. It's kind of one of the things that I think is one of my, I guess I don't call it a gift, but it's one of the things that I just naturally seem to be good at, is explaining things in more simple terms, maybe because I like things explained to me in more simple terms.
Yeah.
And so I tend to do that pretty much naturally. I'll tell you what, I went to, and I'm usually pretty good at understanding complex things and translating them into simple terms, but every now and then I'll go to one of these seminars, and I went to one a couple of years ago, and we had this specialist there that he was a specialist on what's called the no-ono cycle, and no as nitric oxide, and ono is now I can't even say it all of a sudden.
Ono's a great fish, isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Ono's a great fish. I think Ono was married to Woody Allen.
Yeah, Yoko Ono. Yeah, she was married to John to the Beatles.
The Beatles. I'm sorry, not Woody Allen. Anyway, one of those. I use their Ono something. So anyway, but Perry nitric oxide, and I listened to this guy speak for 2 hours on the no-ono cycle, and I walked away from there shaking my head. Matter of fact, Dr. Dan Papa, who is amazing, the guy is one of the most brilliant people I know. He was there. He's actually the person who put the seminar together. After the guy left the room, he said, "Okay, guys," he goes, "next time we do this seminar," he goes, "I'll explain all of this so that the rest of us can understand it." Because there was a lot of really smart guys in that room, and pretty much everyone there was going, "What did this?" We were so glad that he had pictures, because if it wasn't for pictures, none of us would have understood a single thing he said. So some of this stuff, it's pretty amazing. That's the cool thing I like about the human body, is it is incredibly complex.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable how complex it is. People, think, well, can't you just do this or can't you just do that? It's like, well, yeah, sort of, but, one thing, it's like, like they say, the knee bone's connected to the leg bone and it's connected to the hip bone and so on, and then it works with your organs and everything else. Matter of fact, we have the myofascia system in our body. It's like it's this thin layer that goes in between muscle fibers, but they all come together to form your tendons that connect your joints together. Well, this myofascial tissue is from head to toe 100% interconnected. It's like a web. There's no point in your body where there's a break where you could hit a point where you couldn't go from your torso to your hip or whatever. And so even little things like that, like something that affects your myofascial system, that's like things that will create tension, or even like some people say, "I've got a short leg." Well, it could be your myofascial system is bound up and it pulls on your hip and it makes your leg look shorter than it.
Hang on a second. I thought everybody actually did have a short leg. I thought if you were right dominated, your left side was shorter, and if you were left dominated, your right side was shorter. I thought that was a fact. Is that not a fact?
No. It's some people appear, and it's probably what you're thinking of. It has to do with when you're dominant on one side, you use one side more, you strengthen that side, and it torques your body a little bit. And so people, and most people would say, yes, I've got a short leg, or, whatever. But what it is typically they call it neurological short leg, which really, and it's weird because when you look, like even if you take an x-ray, like your hips are thrown off and you're going, it looks physically like you have a short leg, but through chiropractic adjustment, through exercises, through massage and different things, you can actually get that back in balance to where you don't have a short leg anymore. Yeah.
Well, one of the things
there are some people who physically do have one leg shorter than the other.
Well, yeah, but
the vast majority of people don't.
Yeah, but that's a physical problem that they actually had, right? But here, one of the things that always just mesmerized me was when I saw this statement that human beings, if they frown, it takes 72 muscles in your face to create a frown, and only 11 to create a smile. And while that in itself is interesting, what's really interesting is how many muscles you have in that area.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. We have, our major muscles, but even within like your bicep muscles, there's little, sister muscles or assistant muscles, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, we have little tiny muscles all over the place. And I've even had times where literally I've laughed. I've been in a situation where I've laughed, like maybe at a comedy show for 2 hours, and laughed so hard that my face was sore. The muscles in my face were sore from laughing so long.
I've experienced that, absolutely. Hey, listen, when we come back, let's talk some more. We've got plenty of time. Let's talk some more about these things. One of the things that I noticed, I've already told you that I work out in the gym 3 days a week, and then I just walk 3 days a week as well. And but I want to talk to you about the gym for a minute when we come back, and then after that, you're going to control the entire conversation. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back with Sean LeFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away. You don't want to miss any of this. We've got some really, really good and interesting stuff for you.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where my good buddy Sean LaFave is absolutely astounded that after all of these months and years that I've been live on the street, I haven't been hit yet.
I still am surprised. Yeah, you must have really quick reflexes.
Yeah. Hey, listen, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because, until I moved, let me tell you a couple stories. First of all, I used to have an office that was right across the street from a gym, and I thought, well, gee, I owed it to myself and my staff, so I joined the gym for myself, and I also made memberships available for my staff, everybody that was working for me, that they could go to the gym. And I mean, it had the weights, and it had all the goodies and steam rooms and all that kind of stuff. I guess I must have belonged to it for about 6 months or so. And one day I go in there and I tell them, I'm really, really disappointed. I've belonged to the gym for about 6 months. I haven't lost an ounce. I haven't lost an inch. I'm really, really disappointed. And the lady behind the counter says, "Oh my goodness. Well, how often do you come in?" I said, "What do you mean come in? I drive by at least twice a day." I didn't know I had to come in. Anyway, but now
that's crazy how that works. You think you pay your membership, right?
Yeah.
You should get the results. I should have a thing. Why do I have to pay and do work? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why would I join a gym if I wanted to do all the work? So anyway, at our new place, we do have a gym. A lot of other facilities as well. And one of the things, and they're actually, in our free weights, they have machines. All kinds of machines. And basically when you look at the side of the machine, it tells you what muscles you're working on. There are pictures of muscles on there I didn't even know existed. Just when you look at your shoulders, you're looking at your chest or your back, it's unbelievable the muscular makeup of the human body.
Yeah.
Right down to the knees and the hamstrings. It's just amazing, Sean. I'm not sure how anybody could ever be, I would never want to be, I was going to say exhibitionist. That's not really what I mean, but a bodybuilder that, needs to have bulging muscles and all those. That's not for me. I just want to be toned and I want to be in good shape, right? But I can't hardly imagine these bodybuilders that actually build every one of those muscles to its ultimate, it's just amazing.
Well, I can imagine it because I was never one of these huge guys because I didn't do steroids or anything, but I actually was a bodybuilder, and I actually competed in a bodybuilding competition. It's the only one I ever competed in, and I was living in North Dakota at the time, so there was like 2 other people in the whole state that actually lifted weights. But I did this competition. It was a regional competition, and one of the guys that I beat, I was so surprised because everyone went. His name is Pete. I can't think of his last name, but everyone says, "Oh man, Pete's going to be in this competition." This guy was Mr. North. He had taken the Mr. North Dakota bodybuilding competition, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're all thinking, well, which one of us is going to get second place? And I actually beat the guy. I got first in my weight division, and I got second in the men's overall. And the person who beat me in the men's overall division was actually my workout partner, a guy named, we call him Corky, but his name was Corliss. and which I guess when your name is Corliss, you probably want to try to find something a little bit more fun. I don't even know where the word Corliss even comes from, but so yeah, I did this competition. Like I said, I took first in my weight class. I took second, and what they do is they take the weight divisions and they put all of you together, and then rank you amongst the considering the fact that one dude is 200 pounds and another guy's 150 or whatever. And so I took second in the overall, and I was pretty happy. The guy that beat me was my friend and workout partner and trainer, and so it was just, it was an exciting time. But it is really unique, to do that. And a lot of people look at these bodybuilders and they look at them and they think, oh, these guys are vain. And I won't say that they aren't, because it feels good to look good. It feels good to take your shirt off and know that people are checking you out, women are checking you out, whatever it is, it does appeal to your sense of pride and your ego, and it is, I'm sure, has some vanity, but really, it's no different than the guy who likes to work on cars. Like, back in the day when, you would work on, like, say, your muscle cars, and you would, put nice rims on them, and you get a good paint job, and you'd work on the engine, you'd pop the engine up, and you can see all the chrome and everything else, that goes along with having it. And that also feeds your ego. I can remember in high school, I'm sure at least half the dates that I got while I was in high school were because of my car, not because I was good looking or funny or anything along those lines. It was just a matter of I had a cool car and I did all the work on it. It was magenta. I had a 1962, so this was really popular in Southern California.
Wait a minute.
I know where you're going. I'm going to explain myself right now.
All right.
So these Volkswagen Bugs, the thing to do was to lower them as low as you can get them to the ground, and hopefully not scrape every single speed bump you went over. But I had this; it was lowered, everything was chromed out, but it was painted magenta. And of course, my friends all made fun of me until I explained why I painted it magenta. They're like, "Dude, magenta, really? That's a girl's color." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Like, "Dude, why'd you paint your car magenta?" I go, "Do you see me cruising?" Because that was back in the days when we used to go cruising. I go, "When you see me cruising, do you see me out picking up guys? Or do you see me picking up girls?" I go, "Who comes up to my car and wants a ride?" Not the guy.
I hear you.
The cute girls.
I hear you.
I discovered that it's okay to have this side of you that expresses girly stuff because it attracts girls.
Well, I had a choice of fire engine red, passionate pink, or baby blue. I went with baby blue.
Yeah, baby blue's cool too. Baby blue's it's still a guy's color, but it also shows like a softer side to you. Yeah.
Now here's something I'll bet you didn't know. My wife Marlene, when we were younger, she was a bodybuilder, and she was great. I mean, she built two bodies. One we called Bobby, the other one we called Tiffany.
Yes. Women in that type of bodybuilding competition, women will beat men every single time.
Yes, sir, and they're welcome to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
all right. So listen, you got 36 seconds before
36 seconds.
Yeah, you just you never take a breath, so you have no idea how fast time goes.
Man, well, this is the shortest of the four segments.
Yes,
I'm just going to throw this out because we don't have time to go on it right now, but this way we can open up, and I know you're going to just I tried to talk about this before, we didn't get a chance to, but I want to talk about this sausage that they make in Spain, and they make it from baby poop.
Oh God, you're really going to talk about that?
Yeah, I gotta get it off my chest. It's so awesome. I gotta go there. So,
well,
then we can talk about all kinds of other stuff.
All right, if you want to get the baby poop off your chest, just turn on your tummy.
You just rub it onto the sheets. Absolutely.
All right. So listen, we're going to be right back with Sean LaFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner and baby poop right after these brief messages. Do not. Oh wait, you got to know what he's going to have to say here. I know I can't hardly wait. Well, yeah, I can't hardly wait.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 81 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our global network in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 73 degrees and clear. Easy for me to say, 73 degrees and clear. And in Sydney, Australia, it's also 73 degrees and mostly clear. I guess they call that mostly cloudy. But you know what? We're talking to our own Sean Lefebvre in his Geared for Wellness Corner. He's going to be talking about baby poop. Okay, here we go. Sean, go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's in Base Esperanza, Antarctica. It's 29 degrees right now. That's like t-shirt weather, I think.
Base Esperanza?
Esperanza, yeah, that's the name of one of the bases down there, and right now it's only 29 degrees, which I'm guessing for the Antarctica is probably like, they probably lay out and try to get a tan when it's 29 degrees.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's shirt sleeve weather. Did I ever tell you, the very first time I ever went to Alaska, I went kind of out of duress. It had been part of the area I was responsible for many, many years, and so I went to Alaska, and that's when the sun was up for about 3 hours a day. And I kept thinking there was something wrong. I went outside, and I'd never been so cold in my entire life. I thought my face was going to fall off. The high was 30 below zero, and it was just ungodly cold. Whew. You know. Yeah,
I've been fortunate. Every time I went to Alaska was during, kind of summer, late spring, early fall, so it was really nice and warm, and you had 20 plus hours of sunlight. But but when I was living in North Dakota, The coldest temperature I saw was 41 degrees below zero ambient. The wind chill was 102 below. And yeah, it is. It's just like you feel like your face will freeze off. When you go out, you gotta have a park on and you scrunch it up to where you can just barely see through the little fuzzy hole.
It hurts.
And it hurts. It literally hurts to go outside if you're not completely covered up.
So when you were in North Dakota, did you ever see the Northern Lights? I was in Minnesota, and I actually got the privilege. I had the privilege of actually witnessing the Northern Lights, which is beautiful. When you were in North Dakota, did you ever get to see the Northern Lights?
I did, and I saw them just a little bit. It wasn't too spectacular, but it was enough to go, oh, wow, that's really cool. But one time when I was flying from North Dakota over to England, we were flying. It was at nighttime, and of course, you do that big arc. You go up over Greenland and everything, and I got to see the Northern Lights, and it was the most spectacular. It was unbelievable that you could see something like that. I just sat there and stared out the window for probably an hour, and it looked like a ribbon that was 4 miles wide and 1,000 miles long, and it just looked like this ribbon just waving in the air, and it was kind of bluish and purplish, and it was the most. Yeah, it was the colors were so vibrant, and it just looked like it was something that was alive and it looked like it was real, like it was like you could reach out and touch it.
Well, the most magnificent shows that I have ever seen in my life were produced by nature.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I used to. Matter of fact, that was one of the cool things that I loved about living in North Dakota was. When I was stationed up there in the Air Force, that's why I was there. There was no other reason that I would ever go move to North Dakota. And
that's a place most people are from. They don't go there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody. The only people that move there are people who are crazy enough to go work on the oil wells up there because they can make a ton of money. But the dorms I lived in, I was on the third floor of the dorms. There's not a lot of tall buildings out there. And so sometimes at night, it's in the summertime, we get these lightning and thunder shows, and there would be lightning in every direction you could see off in the distance, and we'd go sit out on the stairwell on the outside of the building and just sit out there and drink hot chocolate and watch the lightning, and it was absolutely spectacular. And the sunsets in North Dakota were incredible because it's flat, and so you can see it's literally the flattest place I've ever been, and you can just see for I don't know 100 miles, and so you got so much atmospheric interference between the sun and you that all the little particles in the air really create this amazing sunset, and you get some of the deepest, richest colors of sunsets that I've ever seen anywhere when I was in North Dakota. We get some cool sunsets here in California, but I'm telling you, the ones in North Dakota were unbeatable.
Yeah, you know what? If you're lucky enough to live in the West Coast, and you're by the beach, you talk about flat, right? And you have a clear day, or even if it's clouds, because even when it's cloudy, it's really mesmerizing because the sun it's almost like a canvas painting when that sun starts coming down and peaks, and all that, and the rays and the things, just magnificence, unbelievable magnificence.
It is, and the best sunsets are, of course, where you got a layer of cloud that the sun kind of gets underneath it, and it reflects off the bottom of that cloud, and you get these it gets so brilliant red, it almost looks like fire in the sky. Those sunsets are they're just unbelievable, and we don't get them all the time, but every now and then when the weather's just right, boy, they're spectacular. You just look at it and you think, how is that possible that something can be so gorgeous?
Well, you talk about all it is. Yeah, well, you talk about misty fog. Let's talk about baby poop.
Okay, so baby poop. So Spanish researchers have developed, and they're calling this, it's not just sausage, they're calling this gourmet sausage. And it's made from, it's made from baby poop, but what they do is they actually take a strain of bacteria that comes from the feces of infants, and so they actually extract this bacteria, and they took samples from 43 different babies from the diapers that parents and midwives volunteered to bring in, and then they used some probiotic bacteria that they isolated from it, and they used that to basically cook up several batches of this.
I'm just gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, I've not tried it.
Yeah, I want everybody to know I'm a gourmet diner, but I'm gonna take Sean's word for this one. I am never ever going to try this crap.
Well, just know this: if I ever come over to your house and I bring sausage, I'm going to lie to you and tell you I got it at Whole Foods.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to open it, and I'm not going to eat it. It's going to find its way right to my trash can.
I just think stuff like this is fascinating. You know, like it's next time you come to my house, everything I feed you is going to be moving. Okay, you know what? It won't be the first time I've eaten moving stuff before. So speaking of coming to your house, I know we talked, it was a couple weeks ago when I said, Victor's kind of, recently been kind of getting into girls. My son Victor, he's 20 years old.
Well, yeah, it's about damn time, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he just was really shy. He was just so. I remember when he was, I think he was a senior in high school. So this was only like 3 years ago, and he said, "Dad, can you teach me how to talk to girls?" Like he was just really didn't know how to talk to a girl. And I said, "Victor, the key is you don't talk. You just ask them something they care about." And then just let them those ramble on for like 3 hours, and every now and then you nod and you say that's interesting, and if they're talking about something that had made them feel one way or another, you just throw out, "Oh, that must have made you feel terrible," "Oh, that must have made you feel great." And then that brings up their feelings, and they'll talk for another hour after that. And so I said, you really don't talk to girls. That's kind of the key. And if they have something's broken, you just say that's terrible. That must make you feel horrible, but you don't offer to fix it.
Well, you didn't suggest to him that he should walk up to a girl and say to her, whisper in her ear, "Hey, honey, if I told you you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?"
Would you hold it against me? No, he hasn't gotten to that stage yet. I'm happy that I've been able to, just by default, because he was so timid around girls, to keep him away from that. But I have a feeling,
sit on my lap. We'll talk about the first thing that pops up.
So he has, like I said, he's 20. First time in his life, he's got a girlfriend now.
Oh, good for him.
And so I know you love to cook, and obviously he's a chef, so he loves to cook. And we need to come up and bring Victor and his girlfriend. And the reason why is she is originally from Brazil, and she speaks Portuguese.
Well, yeah, but I don't.
I think you spoke Portuguese.
No. My parents only spoke Portuguese when they didn't want my brother and sister and I to know what they were talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I mentioned your name, and she said Cardoza. And I said, "Yeah, he's Portuguese." She goes, "Yeah, exactly." So the name apparently is a name that she's familiar with, the name Cardoza.
Oh yeah, it's like Smith.
But she's a very beautiful girl. She's
of course, she's Brazilian, right? Yeah. She's Brazilian.
Yeah, she's Brazilian.
Yeah, she's got to be gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous. How did he get so lucky?
He takes after his dad, I guess.
So he doesn't.
No, that's not true.
I think what it is he doesn't speak Portuguese and she doesn't speak English, and they both are kind of wondering what's going on, right?
No, definitely not. They moved here when she was a little girl, so she's very American. But matter of fact, she goes to UC Riverside and studies. I don't know. She wants to do something with. I can't remember what it is.
UC Riverside. How the heck did he meet somebody from UC Riverside?
Well, she was originally from this, or not originally, but she was living in this area, and they met at church and on. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so anyway, I thought that would be. I know that all of our listeners really wanted to hear that part, but I just thought, you know what, I'm never going to get to tell you unless I tell you here on air. But so we got to come over to your house for dinner. Yeah. I'll bring the sausage.
Oh no. You know what? I'll tell you what. That's not. I don't have a problem with that. You bring the sausage. I'll prepare it, and you eat it.
Okay, I will. Yeah. I'm going to find out how to get this stuff.
And then I'm going to prepare something else for Victor, his girlfriend, my wife, and I.
Okay.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. Is Sally coming?
Well, we're going to have to make that happen, I guess.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is about this, there's like, you think of yogurt, I
don't think of yogurt.
Yogurt comes from they have to take the milk and they put the bacteria in it to give it that cultures.
They don't put baby poop in it.
Well, it's the same thing. If it goes into your stomach, it's eventually going to come out.
Hey, listen, I put a lot of things into my stomach that I don't eat again after it comes out. I don't recycle that way.
You don't recycle. You don't collect them.
No. I don't recycle that kind of stuff.
I think it's exciting. I don't know why, but I just I read that.
Hey, you got to be a can short of a 6-pack. That's exciting. That's exciting.
Well, I also get excited about fecal transplants too. I think they're really gross, but they work. They make people healthy. So, anything we can do. I'm
sorry. Did you say fecal transplants?
Yeah, we talked about this. It was probably a year ago. But they actually take the poop from healthy people, the feces from healthy people, and they pump it into a person who has digestive issues. Matter of fact, they've proven that you can take a person who's obese, and because what happens is their gut gets so messed up that it actually creates the obesity. You can take the feces from a healthy, lean, fit person and get that into the digestive system. What they do is there's a couple ways. You can either do it through the enema type, or you can encapsulate it into a pill.
That gives a whole new meaning to bottoms up, doesn't it?
Yeah, bottoms up, right. Or in hospitals, they do this in hospitals, believe it or not. They actually shove a feeding tube down your throat, and they pump it in through a feeding tube. But this is a treatment that they use in the medical and the natural world.
It is absolutely no wonder you have no respect for medical science. And now I'm beginning to understand. As I learn more and more, I'm beginning to agree with you.
Well, I'm telling you, even when you read about this stuff, you get excited about poop too.
No. The only time I get excited about it is when I can't.
The only time people care about poop is when they actually can't go, and then they're like, okay, how do I make this thing work? Because this is no fun. So I tell you what, it is interesting. It's funny. I was at an RBN meeting luncheon one time. Mm-hmm. And Yusuf, of course, Yusuf who runs it. Yeah. He says, all right, we were about probably 80% of the way through everybody giving their little elevator pitch. And he said, all right, guys, let's amp it up a little bit. He goes, I want to see some more energy. I want to see some more excitement. And so I can't remember who was. Some gal got up and she was all fired up. And he says, all right, that's the new standard. You got to beat that. And I was next. And I said, yeah, I can beat that. I said, you know why? Because I pooped this morning. And of course, everyone laughed. And I said, matter of fact, I poop every morning, and I have a routine. I have an espresso, and then I go poop, and I do that every morning. And of course, everyone's laughing like, oh my God, where's this guy going? And I said, however, if you're one of those people who can't, I go, it becomes a big deal to you. We all laugh about it now. So I talked about, I can actually, like I said, I help people with digestive disorders, and I also help people who have problems with going to the bathroom. I help fix those, right? It was the first time I'd ever introduced myself at one of these RBN meetings. More people came up to me that day after the luncheon was over than any other luncheon we've ever had. Mm. People came up to me and said, what is it you do? How do you do that? People were actually interested. When I give them my spiel and I talk about diabetes, or I talk about thyroid problems, or I talk about autoimmune or whatever, I might have one, maybe two people come up to me. But when I started talking about poop in a group, what was there, probably, 60, 70 people in this luncheon, I had probably 8 or 10 people come up to me, maybe 12. Yeah, it was more than I'd ever had before.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think that's unique. The biggest attention getter I ever had at an RBN meeting, which is a networking meeting for those folks that are listening to us, was I introduced myself as a business proctologist.
See, again, goes back to anything that has to do with the butt.
Yep.
People are going to be interested. We all have a fixation. We just don't want to admit it.
So we've got 30 seconds or 60 seconds before we have to take a break. I'm sorry, I take it back, a minute and 60 seconds. And what I wanted to
did you say a minute and 60 seconds? That's called 2 minutes.
Well, it's not quite a minute and 60 seconds. The clock keeps running by the time I get tongue-tied in here. What I wanted to ask you, are you sure that that's 2 minutes? And is that 2 real minutes, or is that 2 fast minutes, or 2 short minutes, or is it just a minute?
I'm not sure if that's a New York minute or if we're on Texas time. It would be stretched out for.
Well, it's a minute and 40 seconds now. Anyway, what I want you to know, what I wanted to ask you was, you said you started your day off with an espresso, and then you had a bowel movement. Do you credit the bowel movement to the espresso? Because I firmly believe that coffee or caffeine or espresso, whatever it might be, works almost as a mild laxative.
It does, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it does. No, I totally credit. Obviously, I'm going to go to the bathroom anyway, but I think that having the espresso, it's literally, I can tell you, I'll drink an espresso, and usually within 2 minutes, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I got to go poop.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't take long. It has to do with something with the way that the caffeine affects. I don't know if it's like a vasodilator or something along those lines. I never really researched why. I just know that I've read about it, that's what it does do. That it helps people get things moving along quickly.
I totally credit it. I simply cannot believe that we're on a global network talking about bowel movements.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Yeah, if anyone's ever stuck and they can't, they talk about prune juice and all this stuff. Yeah. I'm telling you, you take a shot of espresso or have a drink of coffee or whatever, and then eat a spicy pepper. Those two things together, man, it'll move anything.
Oh, I call that a double burner, a spicer peppy. Anyway, we're going to be right back with Sean LaFave in the Geared for Grill. Yeah, we'll be right back. We'll go away.
Geared for Poop.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:22 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 41 degrees and it's clear. In Vienna, Austria, 34 degrees and light snow. But you know what? You don't want to talk about this. You don't want to hear about this. What you need to do is to learn from our resident poopologist, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, you got the microphone.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, I'm itching since we got one last segment, and this way we won't get onto the whole show. I'm kind of itching to talk about what happened in Chicago and just some of the other things that are going on in the presidential debate. I think, you know, we've had too much fun. We're having too much fun right now. We gotta just leave it on a note where everyone's miserable, because we don't want anyone walking away feeling good about the world.
Well, you talk about a lot of political. Wait a minute. You talk about a lot of political crap. That's what took place in Chicago.
Yeah, you know what? And here's my take on this. I don't get how people believe what's coming out of the media. The media is Donald Trump has been holding rallies and seminars and talking in groups in front of groups of thousands and thousands of people for I don't know, let's just say decades, 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know how long it's been. There has never been violence, ever, not once, at any of his events. Maybe there has. You're going to a place where you and I are going to be in 100% agreement. And all of a sudden, these protesters show up, and they're all antagonistic, and they're yelling, and they're trying to block people from getting in, and somehow their criminal activity, because I don't know what else to call it, they're a bunch of anarchists. They're preventing people from peaceful assembly, which is a First Amendment constitutional right. They're preventing that, and somehow this is Donald Trump's fault. And I just quite can't wrap my mind around how that became Donald Trump's fault when all of a sudden the protesters start showing up. There's violence when they say, you know, they talk about, well, you know, Trump had this guy kicked out and Trump had this person, you know, removed, and I'm going, no, Trump didn't do any of that. It was the Secret Service that did it, or maybe the local police, but most of the time it was the Secret Service. And in case you forgot, they worked for Barack Obama. So actually, Barack Obama actually had these people removed from the Trump rallies. So I'm pretty dumbfounded. I understand why the left would say it, because they want to make him look horrible. I don't understand why people like Cruz and Rubio.
Sure you do.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I get they want to beat the guy, but man, they're destroying the GOP by doing that.
Yes, they are. This whole thing is orchestrated. It is all by the establishment. You know, this would never have been a problem. The establishment waited too long because they thought that Trump was going to implode and he was never going to get anywhere. And then when they finally realized that he had a tremendous following and he was saying the things that most people were thinking, it was too late already. So now they've got these Nimrods that normally would have been up high. They would have been accolades for him that nobody likes anymore. You know, you got a Ted Cruz who his own peers, there's not one senator who respects him. He sits there and he calls his peers liars, his own party liars, right? You got a Marco Rubio who says that Donald Trump can't do the job. He won't do the job. Well, hell, who the hell's he talking to? Marco Rubio was elected senator. He didn't even show up for the vote. You're talking about a guy not doing his job and getting almost $300,000 a year. And he says, well, he doesn't like being in the Senate. What the hell's going to happen if he becomes president and says, I don't like being president?
And he's going to go on more golfing trips than Obama's gone on. That's what's going to happen.
And I think that this whole thing is orchestrated. And I don't really necessarily think it's orchestrated by Obama. It's either orchestrated by the establishment from the Republican Party, who's trying to block Trump, the only chance they have at a White House bid, or it's going to be Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton trying to control who it is they're going to run against, because I don't think either one of them really want to run against Trump.
No, nobody wants to run against Trump.
And so I don't think any of this violence is anything that was started by Trump. I agree with you. He's been this way for he's a Teflon Donald. He's been this way forever. Why all of a sudden would it be creating this kind of problem? It wouldn't. I think these people are being imported. I think they're being paid to cause these problems, and they're trying to hang it on him in the hopes that it'll have a negative effect on his campaign. And I think we're going to see today that it's going to backfire on him again.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah,
I sure hope so. Yeah, I just don't, and I tell you what, this thing that went on in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
I've been very positive about Trump this whole time, but I've been pretty positive about Rubio and Matt. I remember when you and I first started talking about this, I was very much a Rubio fan.
Yeah,
and I've even been positive about Cruz. But I'll tell you what, this thing that happened in Chicago really made me want more and more now to have Trump as president, because these people are doing exactly what they're accusing him. They're coming out with hate. They're hating on someone who they say is a hater. And
I'll tell you what they're coming out with. These people are power brokers. These people they've got great jobs, and they're scared to death that all of a sudden they've got a businessman beholding to no one who knows the art of negotiating, knows how to make deals, how to make things happen. And these people's jobs aren't going to be so secure anymore. And if they actually do try to nominate a third party nobody in the convention, what they're going to do is make the Republican Party implode. I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I've been a Republican for as long as I can remember. I can remember my mom and dad, when they found out I voted for Richard Nixon, didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. Here's the thing. It's getting very difficult now to admit that you're a Republican, because the party is embarrassing the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's, it's funny because, Donald Trump, everyone says he's not a true conservative. It's like, well, they said the same thing about Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan was a Democrat before he was a Republican, just like Trump. Mm-hmm. And he was definitely from outside the establishment. I know he was at least was a governor of California, right?
Yes.
But at least he had some political experience. But yeah, this whole thing with Trump, I think that the establishment is actually scared of him on both sides, both the Republicans and the Democrats, because I think, like you said, he said, he goes, I'm a numbers guy. Because when I come in, he goes, I'm going to audit every single square inch of this country that I can to find out where we're wasting money.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. We have had two major parties, because the third party, the Independent Party and the Greenpeace and all the rest of them, they're never going to amount to anything. They're never going to actually get anybody elected. They don't have the strength for it. We've always been a two-party system that's going on. And the problem is that for all the time that we've been a two-party system, it has worked except for the last 16 years. In the last 16 years, it's gone to hell in a handbasket. It is not working anymore, and it needs to have that enema you were talking about.
Yeah,
because these guys got to get the lead out.
Yeah, they do, and it's both sides right now. Like it's Republicans and Democrats, and I'm not happy with either one of them. And I think that's why people are either going, people like Trump, and I think it's also the same reason why people like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
Bernie Sanders I think he's still ingrained in the establishment a lot more than Trump is, but I think that he's a lot less than the vast majority of.
I'll tell you what, I'll shock the hell out of you. If Donald Trump is not the Republican nominee, and if Hillary is not the nominee, but it's going to be a Sanders-Trump thing, I'll vote. If it's a Sanders-Trump thing, I'm voting Trump. If it's a Hillary-Trump thing, I'm voting Trump. If it is Trump doesn't get it, and they want to put Cruz or Rubio or even Kasich, who I don't believe deserve to be in there, and Sanders beats Hillary, I'll vote for Sanders.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I like Sanders. I mean, I've said this before. I have a hard time getting past the word socialist.
Yeah.
And I know that the one thing that I think would be great about Sanders his ideas are so lax, some of them, that I think that the left and right are going to have no choice but to come together to stop him from doing some of the stupid things he wants to do. I think it'll actually unify us.
Yeah.
Because you can't give away free college. You can't give away free health care, right? But not the way our system is now. Everything would have to be scrapped, and it's the cost of college right now. If we're going to give away free college, we're going to have to reduce everything from the cost of room and board for these kids. We're going to have to reduce the salaries of the professors. Like, everything's going to have to change, and of course, none of these tenured professors are going to go for that. Yeah. And so the idea of giving fully free college would work if the government controlled the price of the college, but right now they don't. So, well,
I think that there are programs and plans that could allow that to happen based on productivity, based on what these students are doing. Put it on a grade level and say, hey, you know what? If you get an education in these fields and you run this kind of a grade point average, and after you graduate, you work in this particular segment of the government or for the society or something for a certain amount of time, then you know what? We're going to forgive your student loans. If you don't, you own the whole thing. Or if you just get the grade part of it, we'll give you a reduction. I think there is a middle of the ground going there. The problem with Sanders is he wants to promise the whole world and he can't deliver on it. And then you've got Trump, who wants to do all of these things. Some of them, he constitutionally can't do it. But I do believe that he's a guy that if he wants to do it, he'll find a way, as opposed to anybody else.
And I couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the one question that I do have for you, because
you got a question for me?
Yeah. So I think, because I really don't know enough about the guy, so I want to see what your opinion is. Maybe you've researched him. You've been around for probably, I think, 2 or 3 years longer than I have. So this George Soros, I know very little about him. I know of him, and I know kind of roughly about him. But I know that some people think that he was a Jew who kind of turned on his own people and helped the Nazi Party and aided them. But some people say no, that's not really true. That he was a good guy and all this. So, and of course, he's come out and said, look, I'll spend millions to stop Donald Trump, whatever it takes. What is your opinion on George Soros?
You know what? I don't actually have an opinion on him because I don't know anything about him.
Oh, okay.
So you've actually caught me. I don't know anything about this man.
I got to stump the Trump. All right. Well,
I do recall the statement about this guy, this George Soros, saying that he'd spend every nickel he has to defeat Donald Trump. What? Mitt Romney feels the same way. Only he's not going to spend every cent he has. It's interesting that what I think is that the establishment, the GOP establishment, has decided who they want to have as president. It's not Trump, and they're doing everything they can short of imploding the Republican Party, and I think they're going to get very, very close to it. I am hopeful that somebody, either Trump or Cruz, and of course I'm not going to vote for Cruz, but someone will actually get the nomination and take it out of the hands of the establishment.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be nice. But yeah, this George Soros, apparently he's one of the guys that's supposedly funding the MoveOn.org group that's, who are organizing all these rallies. And, I just don't get, what I don't get is on both sides of the fence right now, we seem to have all of these agendas that are created to divide our country. Yeah. And I mean, it just seems so obvious to me. Everything from, Clinton, what is her deal? How is it that someone can say the absurd things that she says and people still believe her? Yeah. She just made a statement, was it yesterday, or is that today or yesterday, that while she was Secretary of State, we never lost a single person in Libya.
Oh, no. So you got this wrong. All Hillary Clinton is the female Donald Trump. Nothing seems to stick to her. She just, she can do whatever the hell she wants, say whatever the hell she wants, and she just gets away with it because she's booked all these superdelegates. No matter what Bernie Sanders does, he's not going to be able to beat Hillary. Hillary has got 1,000 superdelegates on top of her other regular delegates sitting out there. You know, these guys don't. It's all geared. It's all laid out in stone already. It's crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, it's even the delegates and the super delegates, and all that. Like, I don't get how her followers don't go, okay, wait a minute, Hillary. Maybe we did lose at least 4 people. Can you at least like you don't have to admit that it was your fault, but at least admit that these people did die.
Yeah.
Like, she won't even admit that people died under her watch. She's like, no, we didn't lose anybody. Like, what? Okay, so either you're delusional, or you have Alzheimer's, or you're just a flat out pathological liar. Either way, I don't want you as my president. I don't see any other explanation. And so it's just weird, everything from even this police officer, this black police officer that was just shot a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Not a peep about Obama isn't coming out and saying, boy, I could have had a son that could have been a police officer, or he could have been my brother. No, he doesn't. He'll defend Michael Brown, but he won't defend a black police officer who was killed, by the way, by 3 black guys. And nobody's making a ruckus about it. No one cares. And
you know why? You know why? Because they all think that we are mental idiots and we don't know anything and we can swallow anything they're doing. And this campaign and all politicians right now prove one thing that I've always believed, and that is you can always tell when a politician's lying. His lips move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now we are a minute and a half over time. So what are we going to pick up on Thursday?
Oh man, I don't know. We can talk about poop again because that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
No. I'm all pooped out. I'm all pooped out. So
I'll come up with something fun. I don't have anything set yet, but I'll come up with something fun for
all right. Hey, listen, have a great evening. I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to talking to you all the time. You're a great guy to have a conversation with.
I love you, Robert. I had a great time. Thank you.
Have a great evening. Stay safe, stay happy, make everybody's life around you better. That's exactly what you do. We'll be right back after these brief messages with that birthdays for the day, the secret teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 85 on its way to 55, and that's going to be, just pretty good stuff, if you think about it, just fantastic stuff. And if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Paris, France, it's 45 degrees and there's light rain right now. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, well, it's 84 degrees and mostly cloudy. So give that a little bit. I can't believe it. 84. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 64 degrees and mostly cloudy. That's where it's at. Well, you know what? It's time for our Harvard business tip of the day. And the tip today is, the management tip is, change the tone of a difficult conversation. Yeah, these are all, I say that these are your business tips, but these are good tips for you personally as well. If you work with anyone long enough, you're bound to encounter a difference of opinion. But when a tough conversation starts spiraling out of control, how do you get it back on track? Well, first, understand that when people disagree, it's often because one party misinterprets the feedback they've received as a personal attack, as in, if you like my idea, you like me, or if you don't like my idea, you don't like me. Well, to decrease tension, it's important to deliberately reaffirm your commitment to the relationship at hand. This way, there's no confusion about what the argument is actually about. Now, disentangle personal issues from business issues by momentarily focusing on the relationship, using statements like, I really want to work on this with you, and I bet we can figure this out together. Reaffirming your commitment to the other person can significantly alter the tenor of the conversation. Keep that in mind. But you know what? That also works in your personal life if you think about it. Yeah, it absolutely does. Well, it's time for the secret daily teaching for your life. This is all about a positive mental attitude. I tell you every day, you control whether you're happy or sad, you're rich or poor, you're successful, you're a failure. You even control the feelings of people around you. It's all about a positive mental attitude. That's just the way it goes. Even if you're sick or healthy, you do control the majority of that stuff. It's all about a positive mental attitude. Now, the secret for today is imagine life as a fast-moving river. When you're acting to make something happen, it will feel as if you're going against the current of the river. It'll feel hard and like a struggle. When you're acting to receive from the universe, you'll feel as if you are flowing with the current of the river. It'll feel effortless. That is the feeling of inspired action and of being in the flow of the universe and life. You've heard the phrase, go with the flow. Well, you create the flow. Just remember that. Always. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. Everybody knows what today is. Today is Tuesday. It's March the 15th, and it is somebody's birthday. Well, we've got some monumental birthdays again today. We had them yesterday, too. This is a fellow who was born in 1935, a televangelist who was involved in the high-profile 1988 sex scandal. Yep. Happy birthday to Jimmy Swaggart. And today is also Sly Stone. It's his birthday today. And then here's a guy born in 1947, a guitarist, singer, and composer. Happy birthday, Ry Cooder. And then finally, here's a gal that is just gorgeous. Born in 1975, an actress, currently plays Gabrielle on Desperate Housewives. Happy birthday, Eva Longoria. Absolutely. She's just beautiful. And what happened today in history? March 15th. 1877. The very first test cricket match begins between England and Australia. And in 1906, Rolls-Royce Limited is incorporated. And in 1985, the first internet domain name is registered. It is actually called symbolics.com. And then, 1989, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs is established. Yep, the Veterans Administration. And then finally, and by the way, that's a lot later than you thought, right? Sure it is, if you think about it. And in 1991, 4 L.A. police are charged with beating Rodney King. The stuff just seems like it was just yesterday to me. How about this? The quote for today comes from Peter DeVries, and he says, "Life is a zoo in a jungle." Yep. That be the quote for today. Well, let's give you some interesting but useless facts. We've got a minute or so left. How about this? Silkworms are used as the primary producer of silk. They used to have silk stockings, and they replaced it with nylon stockings, but you can imagine. Did you know that the U.S. Mint in Denver, Colorado is the only mint that marks its pennies? Yep. Just unique. How about this? Did you know that gold never erodes? Ever, ever, ever. And did you know that Japan is the 3rd largest consumer of coffee, not tea, of coffee? How about this? 10 years ago, first patent for a genetically engineered mouse was issued to Harvard Medical School. Now, I should have been talking to my good buddy Sean LaFave about that. And he loves GMOs. How about this? The only Dutch word to contain 8 consecutive consonants is? Yeah, well, I'm not even going to try. Angstscrew, I guess. I'm not sure. Well, let me leave you with this one. The deepest spot in any ocean is the Mariana Trench. It's 36,198 feet below sea level. That's about 7 miles. Yeah, got that one right. Give that some thought. Yeah. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to be answering your emails. We're coming down to the wire. My first email today is from Jocelyn Rodriguez from Auburn, Washington, asking about a tax-free home gain. And I'm going to be answering her question and a couple, 2 or 3 other ones right after these brief messages. Do not go away. We've got some interesting, good stuff left for you. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 85 on its way to 55. But if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in New York City, it's 56 degrees and partly cloudy. Well, we're coming down to the wire. Time for me to answer some of your emails. And my first one comes from Jocelyn Rodriguez from Auburn, Washington, asking about tax-free home gain, and says, my fiance and I own highly appreciated homes. Can we sell one for $500,000 of tax-free gain immediately after we marry, then after 2 years do the same with the other to take a $1 million of tax-free gain in 2 years? Well, you know what, Jocelyn? A single person can sell a home for tax-free gain of up to $250,000 if he or she owned the home and used it as a primary residence for 2 of the prior 5 years. Now, for a married couple, tax-free gain is up to $500,000, and only one spouse must meet the 2 of 5 year ownership test. But both must meet the 2 of 5 year residency test. Now, to sell a home immediately after marrying for $500,000 of tax-free gain, you and your spouse must both have lived in it for 2 years before you actually got married. Otherwise, you'll have to wait 2 years after you marry to make the first sale. You would then have to live in the second home 2 years before you could sell it. But the truth is, you actually could do it depending on what your living arrangements were. Anyway, next email comes from Sabrina Vargas from Brookings, South Dakota, asking about business banking, and says, I have a small sideline business and have run its funds through my personal bank account since opening a separate account for it never seemed to be worth the bother. I've been told that this is asking for trouble with the IRS. Have I broken the tax law? Well, Sabrina, no, you haven't. There's no strict legal requirement that a business proprietor have a separate bank account for the business, but it is highly recommended that business funds be segregated in a separate bank account. And there's 2 reasons for that. It makes business record keeping much easier, especially in an IRS audit situation. And if the IRS questions whether the sideline is a real business or merely a personal hobby or avocation that's not entitled to business deductions, a separate bank account for it as part of a business-like set of records is evidence that supports business status. So that's the only reason for that. Well, next email comes from Simrit Verk from Waterloo, New Hampshire, asking about retiring abroad, and says, if I retire abroad in a low-tax country, will I reduce the taxes I owe on income earned from my U.S. bank and investment accounts? You know what, Simrit, that's a great question. And for U.S. citizens, the rules for paying U.S. taxes and filing income, estate, and gift tax returns are generally the same whether residing in the U.S. or abroad, and whether your assets are held in the U.S. or abroad. Now, United States citizens owe U.S. tax on all income earned worldwide. Now, there is an exclusion for income earned up to $85,700 by U.S. citizens working abroad, but it does not apply to investment income. So retiring abroad to a low tax country generally is not going to reduce your U.S. tax. However, details may vary in specific situations or be affected by U.S. tax treaties with other countries. So go take a look at IRS publication 54. That's 54. That's the tax guide for U.S. citizens and resident aliens abroad. And that'll give you a little more information. Hopefully it'll help you out there. And my last email today comes from Stephen Wortman, and Stephen's writing me from Chester, Pennsylvania, asking about funeral expenses, and says, I know that funeral expenses are deductible, but I can't find where to deduct them on the deceased individual's final tax return. Where do I deduct them? Well, Stephen, funeral expenses cannot be deducted on any individual's income tax return. Funeral expenses are deductible on an estate tax return, but this saves tax only if the estate's large enough to owe estate tax. That means it's got to be more than $3 million. So kind of keep that in mind. You don't have the issues that you're thinking about. Now, I also want to encourage all of my listeners to get our show app, and it's absolutely free. If you have an Apple account, just go to your Apple store and download Robert Cardoza Live. It's absolutely free. Install it on any of your Apple products, and you'll be able to listen to our show live. If we're broadcasting live, there'll be a little tag there that says live. And if we're not, then all of them will show as archive shows, and all of our shows are right there. Hit the little information button. It'll tell you what that particular show's all about. Now, if you have a Windows or an Android product, just go to googleplay.com. Do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live, and you'll be able to download that app onto your products, and you'll have the same ability. They work exactly the same, and so you can do that. Just one is for Windows and Android, and the other one is for Apple products. Now, I want to encourage you to tell all of your friends, please, about these apps. We'd like you to use them. Now, on my next show, I'm presenting tax tips for the season, like we always do on Wednesdays. And then Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, is going to be here to talk about new wireless technology issues. And we want you to tell all of your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.